Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Can we all rise on our feet as we start the afternoon session? Forever and ever, our God, you are good. Forever and ever, our God, you are good. Forever and ever, our God, you are good. Forever and ever, our God, you are good.
Shout because God has been good to you. Merciful God, we celebrate your faithfulness. Hallelujah. Is anybody ready to celebrate with a dance this morning? Let me talk to your neighbor and ask them, Did you come with your dancing shoes? Get a response, get a response. Alright, I'm gonna dance and praise Him. It doesn't matter what comes my way. The greater one is inside of me. What's His name? His name is Jesus. Hey! I'm gonna dance and praise Him. It doesn't matter what comes my way. The greater one lives inside of me. Scream His name. His name is Jesus. Hey! I'm gonna reign more than victorious. I'm the head of His kingdom. Till we the Holy Name. Shall ever prosper. The greater one lives inside of me. What's His name? His name is Jesus. No weapon formed shall ever prosper. The greater one lives inside of me. What's His name? His name is Jesus. I'm born a winner. More than victorious. More than victorious. I'm the head of His kingdom. The Holy Ghost. I rejoice in Him. I rejoice in Him. Everybody rejoice in Him. More than a conqueror. I rejoice in Him. I rejoice in Him. I rejoice in Him. More than a conqueror. 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 More than victorious. 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 Somebody shout! I cannot for me. I cannot tell it all. What the Lord has done for me. I cannot tell what the Lord has done. What the Lord has done for me. I cannot tell it all. I cannot tell it all. He saved me and washed me. What the Lord has done. What the Lord has done for me. I cannot tell it all. I cannot tell it all. What the Lord has done for me. I cannot tell it all. I cannot tell it all. What the Lord has done for me. I cannot tell it all. He saved me and washed me. So I can shout. I can shout hallelujah. I can shout hallelujah. I can shout praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I can shout. I can shout hallelujah. I can shout hallelujah. I can shout praise the Lord. So I can shout hallelujah. I can shout hallelujah. I can shout praise the Lord. Yes, you are. I'm a singer. Diana, you are. I'm a temper. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I'm a singer. Diana, you are. I'm a temper. Yes, you are.
Thank you for defending us. Thank you for standing by us. Thank you for being our Buddha. Hallelujah. Who can stand against the Lord? No one can. No one will. Who can stand against the King? No one can. No one will. Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Him. Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Him. Say, who can stand? Who can stand again? Nobody, nobody. No one can. Nobody, nobody. Who can stand? Who can stand against the King? No one can. No one will. Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Him. Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Him. Victory belongs to Jesus. Victory belongs to Him. We say, whether you're turned into wine, you open the eyes of the blind. There's no one like you. Oh, no, none like you. Into the darkness you run, into the darkness you shine. Out of the ashes we rise. There's no one like you.
Pastor Femi, good to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Went on a missionary assignment all over Canada. It's good to have you back. All right, so we just move to the next session right now. And there we'll have men who will be sharing their motivational, audacious story. And I believe we will learn from this man, you know. But to do that, I'll welcome the host on stage who will tell us more about them and introduce the men. Can we celebrate as I welcome on stage Brother Dari Akinlaja? Brother Dari. All right.
Great, thank you, Pastor Sheng. Please, can we have our seats? All right. Good afternoon, evening, everybody. I hope we have been enjoying the retreat. Great. Let's just pay attention carefully. You can tell who ate eba or pounded yam beside you. In the next, if in the next 20-25 minutes you start to see them wobble left and right, you can be rest assured they ate something heavy. All right, so this afternoon we have some men, okay? We're all men. So the idea of this panel session is not to speak to the perfection of anybody of some sort, but our stories will inspire us one way or the other. These are people who have risen from one thing to build massive things. One of the people on the panel, I call him Medical Doctor Tontale, for instance, okay? So he moved from that into, so it will be a session to help us understand how it is. How do you survive in Nigeria? How do you build it in Nigeria? For instance, the people that were at the politics session, there was so much activity at the politics. There were not a lot, but there was so much excitement because it was like, wow, seriously? Oh, yeah, are you, see? That excitement, okay? So this afternoon, we just want to be able to share and make sure that every one person can benefit from this session. The first person I'm going to be calling up today is an architect. He's a project manager. The CV is plenty, so I'm not going to read it so that we can get straight into the point and enjoy. I'm sure for those of us who are in Global Harvest in Ibadan, you know him. For other people, you will meet him, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, please, can we put our hands together for Mr. Bode Bolade as he comes up? Please, let's just help. You're welcome, sir. Anywhere. Okay, the second person we have is in the hall, Mr. Godfrey, okay? Okay, I think Mr. Godfrey is somewhere around. He's still on his way. But the third person I want to call, I literally know him offhand, so I won't read anything. I'll call him. About 4 or 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, I knew him as actively practicing medicine, helping to save lives, and helping to give people injection, and helping to treat critical conditions. After some certain years, I then find out that he's building one of the largest tribes of people who market and sell properties. If he had started a church from that tribe, he would have had like 10 branches, easily. Maybe 500 people per branch, easily. And he has migrated now to doing crazy things with prop tech and all levels of technology. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, can we please put our hands together as we make welcome Dr. Freeman Oshinuga. medical doctor Towantale. Great. I will need a second microphone. Am I just having one? Please. When Mr. Godfrey walks in, I'll be able to introduce him. I think I saw him trying to make his way, so we don't delay. Great. So what will happen is that I will ask you the questions so we can help manage, so you'll be able to share with people. I'm using style to wait for the microphone. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So I'll start from Mr. Bode because Mr. Bode came first. So let's start from. Have you always wanted to be an architect?
Yes.
You've always wanted to be an architect?
Yeah.
Okay. Because like someone like me, when I was 8 years old, I wanted to be a traffic warder because I liked, when we were younger, traffic warders were beautifully dressed, white gloves. I used to like how they used to control the traffic. So I always wanted to be a traffic warder.
It's a good one. It can always stop you from coming or going.
You'd always wanted to be an architect?
Yeah, interestingly, quite early on, I think I have what you call the natural flair to draw, to sketch, to be more in tune with my inner person. Yes, at that stage, you know, that thing that moved from when you're a young teenager, what do you want to be? The lofty idea of buzzword like aeronautic engineering and all those ones come into play. But at the time I was writing JAM, it was interesting that I was feeling architecture first choice, architecture second choice, first choice university, and a distant second was, I think, mechanical engineering. A distant second. So I've always wanted to just create, to just have the ability to create and recreate, and architecture afforded me that.
So you studied architecture in the university?
Yes, I did.
I used to envy people who study such things. For instance, when I see people who read mathematics, I apologize. I just feel they have special problems. Sorry, because we who read it as part course struggle with it. Then you go into the university and read pure maths. I have a problem. All right. So, Dr. Freeman. Dr. Freeman, you read medicine, Dr. Freeman, not chemistry. You know, some people call themselves doctor and they read veterinary medicine. Or you read pure medicine.
Absolutely.
Have you always wanted to be a doctor?
Okay, so for me, I'll say that I make my decisions part-time based on the phase that I am in. So for me, of course, secondary school days, I was in top high-flying phase. And at that point, if you're in sciences, you either go to medicine or you go to engineering. You know, Greek, biology were very easy for me, so I just shifted towards medicine. You know, so choosing to practice medicine thereafter now was a number of factors put together. You know, but per time, I'll decide what is best.
What is best for you?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Now, when did you make the switch?
Okay, that was in school. While I was in medical school, clinicals. I was very sure I was not going to practice. You know, I was very, very sure. I was very sure. Why? Because, so I do a lot of activities in school. I mean, there was nothing I did not sell in school. You know, there was a particular scenario. My brother relocated to the UK. He had a car that he wanted to sell. And then somebody offered him 190K for that car. I eventually sold that car for, no, I mean, the first person I marketed the car to, I sold the car for 260K. I gave him 200. He was very happy. And I pocketed 60,000. Yeah. But the big deal was that later, the person that bought the car from me now told me later that when he came to inspect the car, if the car was clean, sparkling clean, you'll have paid 300K from it.
Wow.
For that same car. Wow. So in school, I mean, I sold everything. Shirts, shoes, everything. And I discovered that when I'm wearing my jacket, the suit, the blazer, maybe I have programs, I'm more excited than when I was wearing the work coats. You know, when you're discussing business strategy with me, it excites me more than when you're talking to me. If you want to kill me, come and do pediatric conversation and all of that. So it was clear to me that's
beautiful. So before you continue, Mr. Godfrey just walked in. He doesn't like noise, but he doesn't like being showcased. But ladies and gentlemen, please can we put our hands together for Mr. Godfrey, okay, as he comes. I call him the gentle giant, just quiet. You're welcome, sir. Great. So, I've asked each person, so I'll ask you, Mr. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot because you just walked in. You're good. Okay. So I've asked them whether he read architecture, he's a doctor, and did you do engineering, sir? Did you do anything with engineering? You studied computer science. So had you always known that you were going to do, because I know you do something in tech, entrepreneurship, and the rest. Had you always known that you were going to do what you're doing now?
Yes and no. The diversity, I didn't know much about how wide I was going to play. But I always had the instinct to want to be an entrepreneur.
To be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Freeman has sold cars, he has sold shirts, he has sold... Reminds me of a roommate of mine who we all read engineering together, but he has a car mart and a supermarket as we speak. From school, he was already selling biscuit, Indomie, so we knew that engineering degree was as good as useless. So I think that where Dr. Freeman falls into. All right, Mr. Bolade. When people hear about architecture, there is that thinking of professionals are not good business people. Whether you say technocrats are not good business people because we just like getting the job done. How were you able to, had you always wanted to do business too, or you just knew that the money the architecture was going to give me? Because a lot of us, that's how we started business. We just calculated to buy a house with this my job will take me 30 years if I save 10,000 every month. So instead of continuing with this thing I'm doing, let me go and sell. Was that for you, or how did you transit into entrepreneurship?
Thank you very much. This is okay. About the time I was studying, and you look around the environment you're in, architecture is was, I would say was. It's not that much like that. It was a very elitist profession then.
Yeah.
And all the architects I knew drive Mercedes-Benz.
Mm.
So the understanding was the well-to-do.
Yeah.
But about the time I was going for my industrial attachment, I realized that the story is not true, actually. That a number of them are actually struggling. Because this is what's used to obtain. The early practitioners in the 70s and the 90s, once the budget for the year gets read, we're building 10 airports, 20 hospitals, 50 schools. They just appoint them indigenous consultants. And they mail their checks to their post office box even before they do anything. Mm. That was the same Nigeria. Mm. But by the time it gets to the 90s, the competition is a dog-eat-dog world, kind of. So the opportunities were not as they used to be. So clearly, architects were not as rich as they used to be. Mm. And that understanding came pretty early. Mm. And then I started off with architectural practice, and I see how firms were struggling. So this transitioning came about 6 years into my practice.
Yes.
I understood at that point that I don't want to be one of the statistics of the architects they were in this era. What will it take to be with the architects in that era? And then clearly it occurred to me that the dynamics needs to change. You can't continue to do something the same way expecting a different result. Yeah. I get to speak to a lot of my colleagues these days on the business of architecture, which is something a lot of them are yet to even catch up on 20 years after. So the first move I made was I was being poached and I was being headhunted, and it preferred an opportunity. So Nigerian banks was undergoing consolidation in 2006. Mm. These were banks that are sitting on deposit base of 2 billion, and they're being recapitalized for 25 billion. What would they do? Mm. So quickly I understood that one of the things they would do is they would drive expansion. So I aligned to the banks. So I switched profession, and there was this joke then, because even though you're in projects, you're expected to still wear suit and tie. And with one of the EDs then is a running back. I say, yes, I'm wearing suit and tie. I like to dress like this. I'm a bank worker. I'm not a banker. And even though in that time, the experience then was very robust, because to confirm your appointment in the bank I joined then, they would make you go through one course they call the CPG, that's a credit policy guide. The business of banking is credit. The business of banking is not seeking deposit. I'm speaking as a bank worker, not as a banker. But if you don't pass CPG, your confirmation would not be approved. You'll be asked to go after 6 months. And you have 2 attempts to pass the CPG. You have 2 attempts, and pass mark then was 65%. And not as an entry level, but as an experience higher, even in banking. And that transitioning was where I knew I needed to understand finance, I needed to understand funding, I needed to network better, I needed to understand credit and talk numbers. Because at the end of the day, the reason why what we do the whole of our adult life, it's really naira and kobo, dollar and cents, call it whatever it is. And you got to be excited doing that. So the transitioning for me into entrepreneurship started at the point where I understood that there's a limitation if you just stay on the professional path. You need to learn a bit of business, you need to learn a lot of networking, and you need to understand the numbers. So I have to go through those phases of work through 1 or 2 banks and then transition back into private practice from then onward.
Great. So I'm sure when he was talking, I'm sure we had PF validating. I'm not forgetting that PF2 has, so in case you don't know. All right, so one of the things I hear is ability to sense opportunities, the ability to get the required knowledge before he moved in, and all that. I hope we're able to take notes, because these are people who have been able to build, and I hope it will communicate some sort of practical thoughts to where we are as a people. One of the most difficult things for men is to ask other men questions. If you don't know, ask. But a man can decide to be driving the wrong direction and not bother and want to make the mistake himself. Just ask, where is Idi Roko? But we don't want ask. So today, please, just let's take notes and let's be able to understand what's happening here this afternoon. So, Dr. Freeman, how did you know it was land or real estate? Because you did a lot of things. Why didn't you sell fashion? Why didn't you sell pharmaceutical products? Why didn't you sell test tube?
Okay, so so for me, it's about business. For me, it's about volume. For me, it's about returns. You know, whatever business I will commit to must have potential to give very good returns. So if it doesn't have potential to give very good return, I don't know. Because before I used to be a non-profit person. I used to do humanitarian work a lot. You know, but I had to switch to for profit. You know, so and it's very so now my business adventure into real estate started from the investment part. I actually was interested in buying. And then I was now referring a lot of people. And the guy now said, Oga, it'd be like, say, we'll take a look at this business. I thought the idea was dumb. You know, but my wife encouraged me to
go into
it. And then the rest, like
the rest they say is history.
Yes, so it is not land, it is not real estate, it is anything. It is anything.
Real estate just happens to be what was at that point.
Because business essentially is about meeting needs. Once there is need, once there is supply, what are people chasing to pay for? If there is something they are chasing to pay for, and I can supply, what is my job? My job is to supply and create an exchange and get money. You know, so from real estate, it's evolved to a lot of other stuff, but primarily, it's about demand and supply. If you give me...
I know him, so that, don't let me talk. Okay, but what I heard from that was most of us are accidental entrepreneurs. Is that the word? I think, because most of us just, for him now, someone just said, you are doing this thing and bringing people. Okay, why don't you, you know, for most of us, I know we have that kind of story. You know, so we are giving people stuff, and we're like, your mouth is sweet, oh. Don't you think you should sell this thing for yourself? That's true. A business came out of it, okay? Yeah, and for him too, it's about the volume.
I understand where it is. That's why some of us have not yet reached. We always say we want to be value-driven, help people. You know, our lofty ideas are very beautiful. One of my mentors told me one time, he said the reason why young people, you can never be rich, is that people like the fancifulness of your idea. Who is buying it is the question you should be asking. Who is buying? It's like someone wanted to force Nigerians to play cricket. We don't play cricket. Say, I have a beautiful idea to sell cricket bats. It's not going to work. It's a beautiful game, but it will never work in Nigeria. Okay? At least for now. All right? All right. So, Mr. Godfrey, for you, did you move straight into business, or you worked, then transited and moved into business? Or how did you start out from school? Did you have to work? Did you have to? Because I still told someone last 2 weeks, the reason why a lot of young people are not very disciplined is because a lot of them move straight from school into business. The most disciplined business people I have seen are people who did corporate for a while, at least, then transited into business. So for you, was it straight, or was it more? This, in fact, some people who don't even serve, you don't even, and just went to go and buy a container. So,
Thank you very much.
yes, sir.
For me, there was a progression. I started from school. When I got to the point where I needed to switch from professional, working for a company or for someone,
Yes, sir.
to starting my own thing, I had built the capacity. I started from school in fellowship. It was being able to juggle my responsibilities in school, classwork, fellowship work. When I finished school, during my NYSC, I had already built some leadership skills. So I built upon that again during my NYSC, and I started work. I was working for an ISP, an internet service company, the first in Nigeria then.
Wow.
And suddenly I was also thrust into the forefront of business development. I was a telecoms person, pure. But I was trusted to representing my company in bids without going for formal training. That leadership, being able to juggle between lectures
And
activities,
yeah.
came in, and I was able to do that, and I suddenly found myself at a leadership spot at a very early stage in my education, in my career.
Yes, sir.
Until I worked for like 4 years, but locally. I went abroad, worked, came back. I was invited by MTN. The headhunter brought me back into Nigeria. That was when MTN just started. When he was talking, I really wanted to come back to Nigeria. That was after the dot-com bust. It wasn't doing, things were not as good as it was.
As good
then.
as it was, yes.
And the guy looked at my CV and said, with all this package, you should not be working for anybody, you should be working for yourself.
Wow.
And that was a seed. So I went back home and I processed it, and I never looked back.
Wow.
Because a couple of times before the MTN deal, I'd gotten some offers that didn't make sense. Couldn't even buy my ticket. But that was a seed. When he told me that, I went back, processed it, and I started and I built on it. So I didn't just jump into business. I learned responsibility, trustworthiness, and being timely to deliver before I started my own business.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. He learned how to do bids. If anybody does business here, you know bid is one of the most annoying things you want to do when you're going to go and look for, because you have to look at numbers, you have to look at everything and all that stuff. So thank you very much for that, sir. Say the money they were paying you then could not pay the flight ticket. If you tell some of us the money they were paying you, we'll collect it even now. But all right, Dr. Freeman. When you started your business, okay, so I don't want to ask you the income you make now, because that would be security risk. But no, the windows, they can be hearing, somebody can be, those people that are serving rice can be, so can be security. You are safe inside here, but I don't want the people that are serving rice and moi moi. But have you had any business deal before that has nearly made you say, I'm done? Like you are done with real estate, you are done with doing business. Have you ever, because I had one in 2013, I lost 67 million in 2013. My heart was beating at the back here. And I was in hospital for 4 months. So have you ever had anything, maybe a loss, an investment that you have looked at and said, I'm done. I'm going to go and find work 9 to 5. At least nobody will kill me.
Okay, so maybe because my opportunity cost is high. I mean, my opportunity cost is medicine. I studied medicine in Osu. 10 years. You know, that's my opportunity cost.
You studied 10 years?
Say 9 years or there.
7 years
yes.
course?
Yes. Okay. You know, so that's my opportunity cost. So the same guy that is also in real estate with me, that did not go to school, his opportunity cost is not as high as mine. I am more resolute because, I mean, I left medicine, the same medicine that my friends are in the UK, you know.
The US, yeah.
And you will now say I will not succeed in this. You know, so despite that, there are so many challenges, so many wahala, you know. But it's just like any other business. The challenges are there, the ups and downs are there. It's a circle, peak period, off-peak period, and all of that.
Yeah.
But there's not been any, you know, challenge that is strong enough for me to say, I will not. So what will I now do? What's the alternative? You know,
so you have no alternative?
Because there is no alternative.
Yeah.
I mean, you will do it, I do it. There's no other alternative. You understand it? So
I don't have any father.
So we must find every way around it.
Yeah.
You understand it? So far so good. And that does not mean that there are no bad transactions. I've done 20 million deposits for a property. I've not seen I can't use the property. I've not gotten 1 penny of the 20 million. You understand it? But I mean, you move on to the next.
Yeah.
So because if a business failed, you will not do another one.
Yeah.
You understand it? It will fail, you move on. But the good thing is that, so let's say you do 2, 3, they fail, money is lost. Then the next one that succeed, bro, it wipes off all the memory of the one that did not fail.
Yeah.
You understand? But what is important is being resolute. You understand it?
Yeah.
Being resolute.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I think we should be putting our hands together at every point they give. Being resolute. Looking back and say, Oga, back no go. There's no way I'm going to. We die here, literally. We are very spiritual, Abi. We don't die. We move. Just a side comment. I was listening to Reverend Sam. Reverend Sam says when he's doing scenario planning consulting, the most difficult people to do it for are pastors and people of Christian faith, because we faith everything. Do a scenario planning that your business will fail. God forbid, in the name of Jesus, my business will not fail. So I can understand. So people are saying never, 20 million, no way, Jesus. You know, so it's good that these people who have practically done it and are Christians are telling you, you will lose 20 million. It's not swear. You will lose 20 million. So start smiling in advance. Okay? All right. Especially in this country now, where they floated the dollar, so people are smiling now, so people are angry, because the free dollar they used to get before has been wiped out. Okay? So, sir.
Okay, same question.
No, I want to ask you, I want to add one to it. One of the most difficult things in Nigeria is that people don't tell true stories. So business people don't have sufficient information about how to make transitions. Jim Ovia writes a book. We can't get where's the place that stop telling us that you just entered, met somebody and something happened and something. What is the something that happened? And this is usually because of the funny things that happened in Nigeria. Ben Bruce tweeted something after they deflated the Naira. He said at last, people will stop going to Aso Rock in the night to go and be asking for free dollar. All of us now are on the same level. So for you, how did you make your first profit? What was the principle that worked? Is it people you met? Was it skill? How did you get your first major financial? Is it word like that? When I say major financial, was it a referral? People don't like talking these stories because Nigerians, it's like giving testimony in church. People don't give testimony of money in church now. I know a guy who gave testimony that the Lord had blessed him with 50 million naira deal. After service, people with their needs were coming to come and give him, Oga never pay my house rent. Oga, my child never go to school. So people don't give testimony again in church because of things like this. But I'm sure we can handle information. So please just tell us, how did you, because for young people especially, it's usually difficult. How do I raise capital? Is it just somewhere and all that? Yeah.
Thank you. True story. So when I left consulting, I went into banking. After the first 2 years, I believe I had enough. I was registered as an architect. I registered a company. I have what it takes to go out there. So true story. So I have some group of friends then. The capital market was really very buoyant. So what we do is we do a lot of investment in capital market. And particularly, Stanbic IBTC was edging funds for us, giving us credit to buy. I refused to take the credit. And so my friends used to, you know I'm a Jebu, so they joke about me being, they call me petty trader. So why we got the name petty trader was, my saying is, do your job and mind your business. So when I get to work, I work in a bank, so banking hours resume at 8, so I get to work 7. Between 7 and 7:30, I'm on lead capital. I'm checking what the numbers are doing, and I'm giving instructions. Buy this, buy that. Appreciate 2 naira, appreciate 3 naira, sell this, sell that. So what I make from that alone, Pastor Ayo, Pastor Funsha, they were investing for me on the side there. You remember? So what I made on the side alone was like double my salary every month in the bank. So with that, I felt this is good enough to walk away. The numbers will cover themselves. And so I resigned in January, I think 2018, from my first bank job, and the market crashed in February.
Sila.
Okay, true story. People are your best asset.
Wow.
I resigned on a Thursday. On Friday morning, my unit head, who moved from Access to UBA, just called me. Oh, BG, I learned you've dropped your letter. Let's do lunch. So I left VI and went to Marina to do lunch with him. Lunch. And we got in there and said, oh, we've been having problem in corporate services for somebody to run vendor management for us. And I put in your name that you're the best person. Sorry about this. I got one of my direct reports to send your CV to me without asking because I know you don't want to work again. I said, since you knew, why are we here? He said, okay, don't worry, just come speak with Steve. And then we had a 40 minutes lunch and a chat. And I went back to work. And I was planning to go to Ibadan that Friday evening. And I got a message the next day, come and speak with, I will loop this story quickly.
Yeah.
Come and speak with TOE. And I was like, I wasn't even looking. I didn't apply. That was the quickest job offer of my life. So by Saturday morning, I got in there. Tony was on the panel. He asked a couple of questions. How many branches are you doing where you are now? We have 700 branches. Okay, this will sound audacious. And I said, 700. In 6 months, I'll have them on auto cruise. And he took a double look at me, said, go speak with George. And George was one guy I just pushed from Barclays, who came from General Electrics. And I was with George for 4 hours on a Saturday. And we're done. And just by Monday, Prince called me, BG, you've done it again. They snatch you from me. They want you in corporate transformation. George actually wants you, so you can't work for us in corporate services. I said, I don't want. So by Tuesday, George has made an offer. Remember, I've resigned.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anything. So I was to do medicals. I just let it go. Then 3 weeks later, the market crashed. And I panicked. I panicked because the numbers were not looking like they used to be. So that was February. I was at the job in April. True story. I was back working for UBA in April because I panicked. And I worked there for 18 months. And I tell people that I needed to learn certain things because I was going to have a false start. If I started when I started and I didn't have all these ideas, I would have too much cushion to not understand how, like Doctor said here, when you look and you say, no, there's no other home.
There's no alternative.
And that 18 months, since then, I've stepped out and I've never looked back. So, yes, some of us still tell the true story of the real challenges. When the market crashed, did we lose money? Yeah. Did it stop us from moving forward? No. So my saying to that is, if what you seem to have done yesterday seems so fantastic, it means you've not done anything today. So whether what you did yesterday was a setback or a big deal, the minute you choose to dwell on it means you're not doing anything at all today. And that works in life and for business. So if you want to be audacious, seems like you're doing, once you have the win, the most thing I think my team accused me of most is you don't know how to celebrate small success or wins.
Small wins.
No, win is win. Let me call it.
Yeah.
You don't know how to celebrate at all.
At all.
Because the minute we've done it, it's dusted. I'm looking
on to the next thing.
On to the next one. Let's look for the next one. And which on its own is really not very good. You need to savor those wins when you have them sometimes. So about so two things. I think I've answered the question both ways. One, there can be false starts, there can be challenging starts, but you just need to keep going. Secondly, what makes it work the first time it works for you? Your best assets are people. So I've just told about what, how one person just connected you to get one thing. And then when I was eventually leaving, the first set of jobs I got were people that I have interfaced with. Until today, I'll tell you, look on the face of the heart. It's a theory that have worked for me, and I believe can work for everybody in this room. Imagine just one person on the face of the heart, 7 billion plus people you want to meet. Imagine one person that will take you to the next level you wish to meet. You're less than 5 people away from them. I mean, people have written so much about it. I can tell you it is correct. You just need the right network of people who knows who that knows who that knows who to take you to them. And if time permits, I can share a couple of stories about how that has worked for me. You want to meet someone, oh, this is the person that you mentioned it in the right circle, and lo and behold, you will be meeting with them.
Thank you, thank you. I think we should be clapping. I want to meet Donald Trump.
You're 5 people away from meeting Trump.
Funny enough, it's straight how that works, but we're literally 4 or 5 people away from next person. Okay, Sir Godfrey. So when you left corporate world, you went straight into business. Now, for most people, I want to ask this question: who are making career transitions? There's always that fear of monthly income stops coming in once you make that move and that shift. Because I tell people it's better to start business when you are single. You know, where the risk is not high. Once you have wife and children, they are not going to ask you whether you have dream or passion. They will ask for school fees and hospital bill. But when you were moving into entrepreneurship, did you have a plan? You know, because like, was there a financial forecast, and did it work? You know when you are living, you have this, I have 10 million somewhere. At least it will take me for 2 years until I have my first big break that can pay me back. How did you navigate yours? And was there a point where you had to take Gary, or you had to cut down on traveling abroad and just make that sacrifice for business for it to work?
Thank you very much. Like I said before, there's a progression. When I decided to step into entrepreneurship, I started with a friend. I was very good at what I do, very, very good. So everybody wanted me to be their partner. So we got a project. It was very huge at that time, and I was a CTO. So that's how we started. So I had a safe net. I had a group of friends. He got the contact, brought the job, I brought the skills. So that gave me a soft landing. We did it, but that wasn't where I was supposed to be. So I gradually moved into another relationship, another partnership. That still too did not work. It worked. We did the job. Usually once a project is over, the partnership dissolves. So the third one, I just told myself I wasn't going to do any partnership anymore. I was going to start my own business. I started with 250,000 naira, 2003. I didn't even have 250,000. I left the relationship hurt because I was naive in the architecture of the business. And government job, they tell you they gave one director the whole money behind that, you didn't get anything. So bottom line, so I just left, I stepped out. As I say this, I'm going to mention something. You must have, you mentioned this, you made several comments regarding being single, being careful before you start. You must have a corner, like the boxers, they have the red corner, the blue corner. You are going to get beaten. You're going to make mistake. You must come back to that corner. And this corner is layered on what's giving you the courage, the confidence to do what you want to do. Is it the word of God? Is it who you think you know? So I already had my corner, so I stepped out with. I didn't have cash. I had a satellite dish, internet dish, that was worth 250,000 naira. I shared office with someone, and that was how we started. So I sold the dish, liquidated the, that was my first deal, and that became my capital. My first staff was 10,000 naira. I was even scared to pay him 10,000 naira, to even employ him. I was everywhere. I was the CTO, I was the engineer, I was the accountant. But I started taking that step in a progression, organically. So I employed the first staff at 10,000 naira, got the first job, got the second job. There was a progression of consistency. There are things that you said, people don't say it all. People give you a job, they trust you because they give you, that's why they give you the job. You must deliver. I don't say this, my prime business, I have two major businesses. My prime business does not have a marketing department. And that is what has funded all my dreams. It's been calls from customers. They've been my mouthpiece.
Yes, sir.
And that's been how it has been since 2003.
Wow.
Even in the bank, I have never looked for money. It's been, do you want money? Do you want money? Some will even tell you, sorry, don't sign, just send me the account number, transfer the money to you. I said this not to say that I'm very, very up there. I said it to highlight, to buttress the fact that trust is fundamental from the people who you render services to. And that was how I graduated. So I had my go-to corner where I prayed about it. I was not afraid. Fear had gone out of me because fear was always what made me go into partnership, relationship. At least let me have somebody who can support me.
Cushion.
When I stepped out, there
collaborations, of partnership, and of working together. Because in Business Summit today, they were talking about some numbers. And those numbers can never come from one man. Those numbers have to come if we come together. So for you, what's your thought on it based on your experience with what you have had to deal with?
Okay. So my earliest experience with collaboration was when I just started business. So I had this idea when I wanted to move from selling properties as an individual to having a company where I can register several thousands of other people to sell. So I needed money to do that tech platform, but I didn't have the money. So I called my brother that, look, come, let's do this collaboration together. So he came, but eventually he didn't bring the money. So later I had to tell him that, look, so this is where I was, and then you are supposed to come and bring the money. Now that both of us are on the same level, let me fire you, so that I can sort myself out. And that was what I did. So with collaboration, we have to be clear about what we bring to the table, what the other person also brings to the table. There must be clarity about, it's about strong alliance. It's not about the people. It's not about how many we have. It's about what specifically we're bringing to the table. And it's not about religion. It's not about religion. It's not about, it's really about strategic alliance.
Tables,
you understand it?
You are about to break a table.
So just like Mr. Godfrey has said, and my brother here too have said, it's about delivery. When I'm employing people, I don't care about your religion. I mean, some of the people that work with my companies are Muslims. You understand? But I don't really care. If you are an herbalist, I don't even care. You understand it? As long as you can deliver value.
Yeah.
Now, it won't, if you strongly have values to deliver, that will be at the forefront. You understand? So let's say, for example, as my brother in church, I won't do business with you because you are in church. No, I won't do business. I'll do business purely because you have a strategic value to offer.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So we have about 10 minutes. So I'll give each person 2 minutes to just give us, because really in business talk like this, really never enough time for people to actually tell you their hearts and what they want to communicate. This thing is also very important. I've met church people. I've met church people who always say, I will never do business again with church people, because the very first person who took my money and ran away was a church member. People don't even sew clothes with tailors in church anymore, because you give them the money and they will come to church and be, bless you, sir. And you can't shout. They say we should be brothers to dwell together in unity. So you can't treat him the way your heart is telling you to treat him. But that's the base. So what we're going to do is we're going to take questions before I give them opportunity. So I can take like 3 to 5 questions. If we have any direct questions for them, so we can ask. So can anybody with questions just raise your hand so I can count everybody? Because some questions come after other people's questions, so I won't sleep here. 1. Another person? Ask question now. Maybe how you want to raise capital. 200 million. Dr. Freeman can give you. I assure you. 1. Is that all? It's going? Don't get inspiration for other people's question. 2. And 3. PF, you have a question? Okay. 4. Then 1 more. 1 more. 5. So please, can we give PF a microphone? No, PF, you go first now. Please, can we give PF a microphone, please?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
PF.
I just wanted to ask the most audacious thing they've done. That's my question.
Yes.
Tell us the most daring thing they've
done. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. You want to go, sir?
It's still work in progress. Yeah. Because if I mention it, it seems like it's the biggest I can ever do. But I can mention a few. So 2020 was COVID year. So January 2020, we were looking to expand on the business front. We were like, who are the big 5 construction companies in Nigeria? And we want to upstage them.
Wow.
Yeah. So the big five I can tell you because I know them: Julius Berger, Kappa and Alberto, Elalan, ITB, and other people just over around, really, in terms of everything. So the first thing we did was, we also want to be a construction company that competes with them.
Wow.
But we don't have what it takes. We were a staff strength of about 4. We don't have plants and machineries. So we went to Europe. We went to England first. And we discovered the model there is they're not doing construction company. What they do is what you call construction development companies.
Wow.
Meanwhile, they get the jobs, then they go to Germany to bring in the piling expert. They go to Spain or Italy to bring in the cladding expert. Just bring everybody together and do the work. So, okay, so we don't need to be a construction company. So we need to be a construction development company. So we get the job and we bring all these people to do the job. And then, I won't mention names. So the first feat was one of the consulting development firms today in Nigeria that when they sneeze, all these 5 companies catches a cold. We bought 35% of that company.
Wow.
So we created something within the value chain of consulting that we call consultant resource control. RCR. So what that does is there's a project to be done. There's a 30-floor building coming up in Bodilon. This company, because it was founded by a British company, and the mother company is still in England, so they will design, and they will decide who gets it, and then we sit on the board to decide this is the company we want to give it to, and you do it as us.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a big feat. So on speed dial, I can call the MD of the 4 companies I called earlier. But guess the only one that I don't have on board, because they called our bluff, was Julius Berger. But they didn't honor the invitation because then it occurred to us that it's not audacious enough. But Kappa and Alberto, Elalan, ITB, all of them, we sit on the same table. So fast forward to that was January 2023. 2020. So fast forward to February, COVID started. So nothing happened. And then by March, COVID is still on. April. Everywhere was on lockdown.
Yes.
Everywhere was on lockdown. And then said, the next project we wanted to do is in Eco Atlantic. And because of COVID, there's cash crunch, I think they dropped price. So they used to sell for $2,500 per square meter. So they said they were doing $1,500 per square meter.
Wow.
So okay, we needed 3,300 square meter. They showed us, they said, we're going to pay 1,000 per square meter. And the MD just looked at it. He's a French guy, Pierre, and he just, you guys are joking. They said, no, we're not. Our office is just across the road from him on Adetokunbo Ademola. I said, no, we're not joking. Actually, we learned there is one person who can make this call, and we want to meet the person. I said, you really serious? I said, yeah, we're serious. And we don't even have the money to pay at once. We're going to pay over 6 months. He said, no, it won't fly. I said, okay. The next day, we were at his door again. It was COVID, wearing masks. I said, we need to meet the chairman. So he took us to the chairman's house at Idowu Martins. That's the senior Chagori. And we sat down there, and he was just looking at us like, okay, if you guys can pay in 3 months. Say, no, we don't want to promise what we cannot do. And we left there with a deal to pay $900 per square meter.
Wow.
Okay, long story short, we couldn't pay in 6 months, but today we paid up.
Wow.
And so this is my partner that we do these crazy things with. Okay, it's a group of companies. So I am the MD of the construction company, and there are oil and gas interests.
Yes.
And that same year, they're in the downstream sector, and they want to move into mid and upstream. And he said, we've been saying we want to do upstream, and we've not even done any major thing aside trading. Trading means you import for the majors. And so we needed to do trading. And so that first trading deal was a disaster. it was so much of a disaster, I almost wiped off the four. I mean, buttressing what he said, if you don't do this, what will you rather do?
Yeah.
Almost wiped up the four companies.
The 4 companies.
Yeah. And then the following week, he said, we're bidding for the upstream. Long story short, that was 8 months ago. Today, they have 2 oil fields,
Wow.
2 marginal fields.
Wow.
So those are audacious things that are ongoing. So, Pierre, we're yet to do the next big
The next audacious stuff. Okay, so Dr. Freeman, I think they all should answer that question. So I like this. I like this kind of story. So we can buy this compound, Audacious.
Okay, so there are a couple of stuff because as a businessman, you have big dreams, but you don't have money. So what do? You know, there are a couple of stuff. Of course, I'll still say what is the most outstanding. I remember a transaction. My brother wanted to do a transaction, starting a new company, and then wanted to acquire a property. In confidence, he told me his deposit, the money he has, was ₦1 million. So, okay. So I know that is the time we use other stuff. You know, of course, negotiation is my fault. You know, so, I mean, the company has grossed over 5 billion now.
Wow.
That particular company has grossed over 5 billion in revenue.
In revenue, wow.
But their first deal, the first biggest deal, we sealed it with just $1 million. But that is still not my most audacious stuff. I think the most audacious thing I did or have done is during the Ebola outbreak. So during the Ebola outbreak, I worked with the African Union at Sierra Leone. I was in Makini. I was treating Ebola patients for 6 months.
Wow.
You understand it? And so for business, is because my appetite for risk is very high. But whatever it is, I look at the risk, I look at the opportunity, and I look at the data. You know, so before going on that mission, I look at the data. Oh, guys, you did Ebola work in Port Harcourt. You did Ebola work in Lagos. How many of you died? Nobody died. Okay, good. How did you do it? You understand? So I look at the data. I look at, because, I mean, it was one mission. Nobody I spoke to told me to go. I mean, everybody. I know the answer you will give me. So I've gone to do everything. It was as bad as, I mean, there was insurance. If you die,
in case you die in this service,
it's like 100,000 or 150,000 USD. You're supposed to, they now give us a form to break it down. You know, who takes what when you die. You know, but I did it despite that.
Wow.
You know, so
wow, Ebola. Mr. Godfrey, I think we'll just end because of, yeah? Or we should take the questions, or we should just, I think we should just, PF has asked a very important question, and let's allow them answer it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I was expecting Dr. Freeman to add that he had flown off an aircraft. That's an audacious one.
Buggy jumping.
that was
Thank you.
last year.
Okay.
That was not my craziness.
Personally, for me, like he said, it's an ongoing. Once you have appetite for more, you always encounter audacious experiences. My first major one was I acquired a telephone line, a landline. I wanted to own my own telephone service.
Wow.
It failed, but I acquired it. It was a 01255 number, just for Ikeja alone. It worked. It failed. Because I had the appetite for that, I went again. I wanted a mass market product. We started African Cable TV, pay TV,
wow.
ACTV. We invested a lot of billions and succeeded, but because of politics, it failed. And so those are two audacious moves that failed.
Oh, wow.
But I always had my corner
to go to.
So I have, I'm currently into agriculture, to answer your question. And if I say, who do you shop for eggs in the store? Do you go to supermarket? What's the most popular name? Anyway. Pontuna, right? So when I went into agriculture, that was I put bullseye on for tuna, and I said I wanted to take them out of the market or be their main.
Yeah.
It's a major feat for me, and for once we are succeeding, at least in Lagos. So at least I failed twice and succeeded in that. So that's a major audacious one for us. It's a major project that is ongoing. Thank you.
Wow. My own audacious. I need to write it because it is I've been hearing since. Pay TV, billions. Christians don't like hearing billions. Oh, yeah, billions. Our heart. I like what Pastor Dari said outside. Pastor Dari did not know that I heard him outside when he was teaching. Pastor Dari said Christians should stop mentioning thousands and millions. Let your ear and your mouth get used to saying billion. If I say 4 billion, as a people will do keke. 4 billion. Okay? So I think one of the lessons I've learned here is do it unafraid. What's the worst that can happen? And he says something very spiritual, which is the foundation. Always have that corner where you go to go and ask, should I? Should I not? How should I go and how should I do? We have to go and rest before evening. I'd love people to take more questions, but people need to go and rest before we come into the evening. So for all our panelists and people who have come here today, please, I hope we learned. So that means some of you will go and look at your visions now, your business plans, and tear it if they are too small. You increase it. If Nigeria was the plan, you make it global. Thank you very much.
Can I say something before you go? Let me just put the ice in. For men, we are all men here, and some of you don't have questions. I'm sure some of you still have questions. I mentioned I failed. Well, I failed in billions, was billions, and I recovered, and I went back to my corner. The corner, for me, I think it's necessary we say this. How big is your corner? How big is God? Not theory, not theory. Sit down, write it down. How big is God? Once you have a big God and it sinks into your spirit that you have a big God on your corner, your experience will be like that. If you fail, you come back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, can we rise up and put our hands together for them? Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. So, who am I going to call? Okay, let's put our hands together for Pastor Shagler as he comes to disperse us.
All right, I believe we've learned a whole lot today from the breakout session to plenary session. So we'll just go for rest this evening and come back by 5 o'clock. You know, I was expecting Dr. Freeman to share that story because I saw the video too where he jumped from, how many feet was that? I think it was 25,000 feet or something. And I was like, wow, this guy, something must be wrong with you. But he said before anybody, you also dream of dreaming it. How many feet was that, Dr. Freeman? The plane where you jumped from Dubai? 30,000 feet. 13,000 feet. So I saw that he jumped with somebody. I said, this man, something is wrong with you. So I told his wife. His wife said, oh, that one. He went to Ebola now. I said, wow, this is very good. Maybe when I grow up, I will try it. So he said he sent the video to Reverend too, and Reverend saw it. I was like, wow. All right, so let's just go out and be audacious. We'll come back this evening, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, we'll come back this evening. God bless everybody. So if you just came and you need to register, please, the registration desk is there. Okay.